Hey guys, it's Cory from CoryBakerFilmmaker.com, and I just saw Hereditary, written and directed by Ari Aster. So last night, I went to the Glendale Pacific to take in Hereditary. I really enjoy that theater. It's the second most seen theater on the list. Definitely a great theater. It's, it's in the mall, so it's sort of got this corporate feel to it, but it's very nice and a great place to take in a flick. Onto Hereditary. I don't want to get too much into the plot because I don't want to really give away too much of the movie. But basically, the family matriarch dies, and it's a lot of dealing with the grief that happens from that, as well as other incidents amongst the family. It's a very dark family drama at the heart of it, with sort of horror elements that get worked in later on in the movie. Onto the actual movie itself, most of the movie just goes or follows the family. So Alex Wolff is the teenage son Peter, Gabriel Byrne is Steve the husband, Toni Collette plays Annie the wife, and Millie Shapiro is the daughter Charlie. It's really mostly them throughout the entire flick. There's like some supporting characters who are really good, but most of what you focus on is those characters. And I thought everyone did a really great job, especially Toni Collette. Toni Collette just blew me away with this performance. She was really on point. And as far as like playing a mother that's grieving without taking it too far, it's really easy to just like be like, all right, now you're crying. And she did it in a way that wasn't overboard. And it just seemed very relatable and real. So I don't know if I would necessarily say that she should be nominated for something at the end of this year for it, but she's certainly in the short list, and if she did get nominated, I would totally understand why. It's a very strong performance. Not quite on the same level, but definitely worth pointing out is Alex Wolff in this does a fantastic job as just sort of like this like out there teenager. Obviously there's a lot of things that are going on within the family dynamic, which sort of adds to his isolation, but he does a wonderful job of playing that up, and I really would be interested in seeing more of him. We've had obviously Toni Collette's been in the game for a long time, and she's done tremendous work before, but I hadn't seen much of Alex Wolff before, so I'm really looking forward to seeing more of him in the future and seeing what he can do with roles coming up. Again, this review is a little bit tough just because I really don't want to talk about what happens in the movie too much because I don't want to give it away. I think it's something that's worth seeing, especially in a theater if you can. Sometimes I think the press and the words of other people saying oh, it's the scariest horror movie you've seen in 20 years or something like that. I wouldn't put it that far. It's very different. It's not quite the same as watching some of the more recent vintage horror movies with the jump scares and sort of the diabolical evilness of gore and everything like that. It's way more of a thinking piece than it is a gory piece, but it certainly has its moments. I really would recommend that you try your best to stay away from people talking about it as much as humanly possible. I'm trying to do my best to sort of fill you in on why you should go see it without telling you too much, just because I don't want to ruin the surprise of it all, or not the surprise as much as just the how it plays out, because anything you talk about really does sort of take you away from your enjoyment of it, but it's definitely something worth seeing. A couple other quick shout outs. The cinematography in this movie is fantastic, and I think that Ari Aster did a really good job of sort of setting up a lot of the world in an interesting way. So Toni Collette, her character, does a lot of miniatures, so dollhouse miniatures, and there's a constantly throughout the course of this movie, you're sort of getting these wide frames, almost like you're looking in on a dollhouse rather than watching a movie. So it's very striking to see like all this headspace above people and the wideness of how far out you are away from the characters. And it's a little disconcerting at some points, but I mean, everything worked out. I imagine that they probably had to cut booms out, like digitally remove booms from a lot of this, but the sound was great, cinematography was great, the editing was on point. Everyone really just did a fantastic job. I mean, production design just alone for the miniatures, which were all very well done. I can't praise all the departments coming together on this movie enough. They really did a fantastic job, and you know, bravo to Ari Aster too for putting everybody in the position to do such great work. I don't know if I would say that the script was as good as everything else was, but it's not a bad script either. It's just it's sort of nitpicky though for me to kind of point that out. It's just not you know, I wouldn't say Ari Aster's writing is on the same level as like Toni Collette's acting, if you will. It's leaderboard time. This is another one on the list for Glendale Pacific, right up there. And as far as Hereditary goes on the movie leaderboard, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it was like the best. Maybe it's honestly me, just because I've seen so many horror movies, and it doesn't. You're going up against the. It's hard to scare people in the same manner more than once. So I mean, like as soon as you've been scared, like you have been in Carrie, or you know, in The Shining, or in Exorcist, or anything like that, it's hard to get somebody the same way again. So it's not the same as being able to do tried and true things. And every horror movie is going to be, unless it's more sick and more pervasive, which this one isn't, it's hard to, like, up that ante. But, I mean, like, as far as, like, character drama and everything like that goes, it was really fantastic. So, I will give it a 7.4. Definitely worth checking out. If you're a horror movie fan, I would definitely recommend you go see it. I wouldn't rush out and stop everything you're doing to see it, and I won't say it's like the best horror movie of the last 20 years, but definitely worth checking out, and definitely worth seeing in theaters with a crowd, because the nervousness you feel is way more palpable when you have a crowd around you. Anyway, that's it from me. If you want more, you can go to my website, CoryBakerFilmmaker.com, or go to Facebook.com/CoryBakerFilm, or follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat at LegendsCB5. If you like this review, please give it a thumbs up, share it with somebody who might enjoy it, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and yeah, that's about it. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to make little dollhouse miniatures and hope that I don't want to tell you anymore.